Open with a jarring, reflective question. What if you only had 90 days left to change everything? Build emotional tension by confronting the audience with how easily life slips into routine and procrastination. Expose the illusion of time, how we always think we have later, happen to fear of regret, showing that most people die with dreams unfulfilled, not because they couldn't, but because they waited. Anchor the section with urgency and clarity. Life is not a rehearsal. The next 90 days could either redefine you or pass by like all the others. End this section by planting the challenge to treat these 90 days as if they're the only ones that count. Section 2. The power of urgency, tendency in the art. Explain the psychology of urgency, how the human brain sharpens focus when faced with clear deadlines. Describe how most people live without pressure and therefore without purpose. Show the difference between surviving and living with intensity. Teach that urgency doesn't mean panic, it means alignment. Every thought and action moving toward a clear goal. Emphasize how energy and time multiply when the mind believes the moment is limited. Close with an emotionally charged statement. If you live like you're running out of time, you finally start living right. The decision point at Transition 3, the decision point at the arches and guide the audience to make a conscious decision today. Explain that transformation begins not with motivation, but with decision, a deep, unshakable I will. Archer use emotional language to show the inner war between old habits and the person they want to become. Introduce the idea that this 90-day commitment is sacred, not just for achievement, but for self-respect. Encourage them to decide that mediocrity no longer has a seat at their table. End powerfully with, once you decide, life rearranges itself around your conviction. Section 4. Destroying excuses and reveal the psychological mechanism of excuses, how they protect comfort but destroy potential. Call out common lies the mind tells, I'm not ready, I'll start later, I don't have time. Break these patterns using truth, that every limitation is self-created and action is the only cure. Use raw emotional energy to dismantle the victim mindset. Remind them that greatness is built in the moments when nobody is watching and excuses are crushed by willpower. Finish by urging, you can't rewrite the past, but you can erase regret in the next 90 days. Section 5, a daily war section. Describe each day as a battlefield between discipline and distraction. Explain that habits form the architecture of destiny, and small daily victories create massive long-term change. Teach the 24-hour mindset. Focus on winning one day at a time. Show how consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds belief. Inspire them to treat every morning as a new chance to rewrite their story. Close with a punch. The next 90 days won't be easy, but neither is staying the same. Section 6, the pain of growth. Dive deep into the psychology of discomfort and growth. Explain that pain is not punishment. It's proof of expansion. Contrast the pain of discipline with the pain of regret, showing how one leads to power and the other to decay. Use emotional tension to normalize struggle. Make it sacred. Show that every time they push through resistance, they're teaching their mind who's in control. End with a visceral statement. If it doesn't challenge you, it can't change you. Hadbury, Section 7. The vision within CR shift focus inward toward purpose and visualization. Explain how clarity of vision activates the brain's reticular activating system, filtering reality toward goals. Encourage the audience to see, feel, and emotionally live their success before it arrives. Teach that belief is built by repetition. Daily affirmations, focus, and visualization. Connect emotion with purpose. Remind them why they started. End with emotional conviction. When your vision becomes your obsession, reality has no choice but to follow. The Palo, Section 8. The power of momentum. And Peter Artner build on the idea that once movement starts, life begins to respond. Explain the psychology of momentum, how progress fuels motivation more than motivation fuels progress. Encourage the audience to track small wins, to see evidence of their growth. Describe how self-trust is rebuilt every time they keep a promise to themselves. Show that success isn't one big leap. It's thousands of small steps in the same direction, and with energy. You're no longer waiting for the perfect time, you're creating it. Section 9, becoming unstoppable. This is the emotional climax, transformation in motion. Explain how commitment, once solidified, transforms fear into fuel. Reveal that obstacles lose power when purpose becomes unshakable. Speak with intensity. You've survived too much to quit now. Remind them that resilience is born in repetition. in showing up even when motivation dies. Finish with a fierce declaration. You're no longer hoping for change. You've become the change. Hetbjord Section 10. The final 90 days and are close with deep emotional reflection and powerful gratitude. Paint a picture of what life will feel like after living with total focus for 90 days. Show the audience that they've proven to themselves what's possible. Reinforce that the real reward isn't just success, it's transformation, discipline, and identity reborn. Encourage them to carry this mindset beyond the 90 days, turning urgency into a lifestyle. End with a timeless call to action. If the next 90 days were all you had, how would you live them? Then live exactly that way. Just 90 days left. What if you only had 90 days left to completely change your life? Not years, not someday, just 90 days. How different would you move? How fast would you act? How fiercely would you protect your time, your focus, your dreams? Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that every second now matters more than ever, that every excuse, every hesitation, every wasted moment could cost you the future you've always wanted. Would you still scroll, still complain, still wait for motivation to strike? Or would you rise and finally start building the life you've been pretending you'll start one day? Most people live as if time is endless. They drift, they postpone, they plan for a future that never begins. But here's the truth no one wants to face. You don't know how much time you have left. You don't know how many chances remain to become the person you're capable of being. And the greatest tragedy is not dying too soon. It's living too safely. It's walking through life, half asleep, half alive, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. You've been given this day, this breath, this chance, and that's all you need to begin. If you could see your own potential the way the universe sees it, you'd never waste another minute doubting yourself. Inside you is power beyond measure, raw, untapped energy waiting to be directed towards something extraordinary. But potential means nothing without urgency. Dreams mean nothing without action. The next 90 days could be your proof that you're not ordinary, that you're not stuck, that you were never meant to settle for average. They could be the moment you finally take control of your story instead of letting life write it for you. So what's holding you back? Fear, doubt, the comfort of routine? All of those things lose their grip when you decide that time is running out, because when you believe your days are numbered, you stop wasting them. You start speaking truth instead of excuses. You stop chasing comfort and start chasing purpose. You begin to value progress more than perfection, action more than approval. That's what these next 90 days are about, proving to yourself that you can become unrecognizable in the best possible way. Think about it. In 90 days, you could rebuild your body. You could discipline your mind. You could learn skills that change your income, your relationships, your confidence, your direction. 90 days is not forever, but it's enough to change forever. It's enough to break patterns that have held you hostage for years. It's enough to show the world and yourself what happens when you finally stop waiting and start living with intention. This is not about perfection. It's about urgency. It's about deciding that every sunrise for the next 90 days will be treated like your last opportunity to rise higher, think bigger, and move faster toward your vision. Because when you live like that, everything changes. Your focus sharpens, your energy multiplies. You stop being a victim of time and become its master. So listen carefully. The next 90 days could be the most important days of your life. 90 days to silence your doubts. 90 days to rewrite your identity. 90 days to finally prove that you were never lacking time. You were only lacking urgency. If you truly acted like the next 90 days were all you had, you'd discover something miraculous. You'd realize that the power to transform your entire life has been inside you all along, waiting for the moment you finally decide to use it. Urgency changes everything. It cuts through the noise, strips away the lies, and forces you to face the truth of who you are and what you're capable of. When time feels limited, you stop wasting it on things that don't matter. You stop pretending that you'll always have another chance. Suddenly, every second feels sacred. Every choice becomes deliberate. You start living with a kind of intensity that most people never experience because they're too busy convincing themselves they have endless tomorrows. But when you act like time is short, clarity becomes your greatest weapon. Most people fail not because they don't have talent, but because they lack urgency. They live on autopilot, moving through each day without purpose, waiting for inspiration while their dreams quietly fade in the background. But urgency wakes you up. It pulls you out of the fog and into the present moment. It reminds you that this, right here, right now, is your life. And if you don't take control of it, it will pass by faster than you can imagine. When you live with urgency, you stop negotiating with your goals. You stop asking yourself if you feel like it. You simply act, because action is the language of the committed. When the brain senses that time is limited, it sharpens its focus, it eliminates distractions. You stop needing motivation because necessity takes over. You move with purpose because you understand that every moment counts. Urgency turns your goals from dreams into deadlines, and deadlines build pressure, the kind of pressure that forges greatness. Think about it. The moments in your life when you were truly unstoppable were never the moments of comfort. They were the moments when you felt the weight of time pressing against you, when you had no choice but to rise, to act, to push. That's when your best self came alive. Urgency is not stress, it's alignment. It's your entire being moving in one direction, fully aware that hesitation is the enemy. When you begin to live with that awareness, something powerful happens. Distractions lose their grip, fear loses its voice. The little things that used to consume your energy suddenly feel irrelevant. You stop seeking validation because there's no time to impress anyone. You're too focused on becoming who you were meant to be. You begin to feel alive again, connected to something real, something raw. Every breath becomes a reminder that you're here to build, to grow, to leave something behind that lasts beyond you. The mind responds to urgency like a flame responds to oxygen. It ignites. You stop thinking small. You stop wasting emotional energy on things that drain you. You learn to channel that energy into action, creation, movement, because you finally understand that no one is coming to save you, and that's exactly what sets you free. The moment you realize it's all on you, you gain power. You stop waiting. You start doing. If you treated every morning like it was your last chance to move closer to your vision, how would you live? You'd speak differently. You'd walk with purpose. You'd guard your focus like your life depended on it, because it does. This is the mindset that transforms lives, the one that separates those who wish from those who win. Urgency doesn't just change how you act. It changes who you are. It turns ordinary people into forces of nature. It turns hesitation into hunger. And when you start living like time is running out, that's when you finally start living, right? Everything changes the moment you decide. Not when you talk about change, not when you plan it, but when you finally draw a line in your mind and say, this is it. That single decision carries more power than 1,000 empty intentions, because real transformation doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from decision, the kind that leaves no room for retreat, the kind that forces you to rise. When you truly decide, the excuses dissolve, the distractions fade, and your energy locks onto one target. You stop dabbling with your potential and start demanding results from yourself. Most people never reach that point. They flirt with commitment, but never marry it. They say they want success, but their actions tell another story. They keep doors open just in case, not realizing that every open door weakens their focus. Decision is a fire. It burns away indecision, doubt, and fear. Once you choose who you're going to become, life begins to respond. Opportunities start aligning. People start noticing. Your mind starts recalibrating, because clarity has a frequency. And once you commit, the world adjusts to match it. The truth is, transformation is not a matter of ability. It's a matter of permission. You've always had what it takes. You just haven't given yourself full permission to become everything you could be. You've been waiting for signs, validation, perfect timing, but none of those things are coming. Life only starts moving when you do. Decision unlocks momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence fuels consistency, and consistency builds greatness. Every person who has ever changed their life began with a single ruthless choice to no longer tolerate the version of themselves that settles. You can feel it inside when you reach that point. It's a quiet, undeniable shift, a moment when something clicks and you realize you can't go back. The old habits don't fit anymore. The old stories don't hold power anymore. You're done negotiating with mediocrity. You're done asking permission to be who you already are. You start moving with conviction, not because you have everything figured out, but because you're no longer willing to live another day as someone who doesn't try. That's the moment you start respecting yourself. Every decision you make after that point carries more weight. You start measuring choices differently, not by comfort, but by alignment. Does it move you forward or hold you back? Does it feed your growth or your fear? You begin to see life in terms of progress, not perfection, because once you've decided, perfection no longer matters. Only movement does. Every step, every effort, every ounce of discipline is proof that you meant it when you said, this time I'm all in. The next 90 days aren't waiting for permission from anyone but you. They're waiting for a decision, a declaration that you're done being half interested in your own life, that you're ready to act like everything depends on what you do right now. Because it does. The moment you decide, the future bends, the path clears, the noise fades. You stop asking if it's possible and start showing the world that it is. So decide now. Decide that your future self deserves more than hesitation. Decide that your potential deserves your full attention. Decide that the next 90 days will not pass like all the others. Because when you finally make that decision, the universe moves with you. The moment you commit, the rest of your life begins to shift in your favor. All it takes is one decision that says, I will not waste another day of my life being less than what I'm capable on. Every day will test your commitment. Each morning you'll wake up with a choice to fight for your future or to fall back into the comfort that's been killing your potential. The war isn't outside you, it's within you. It's between the version of you that wants to grow and the one that craves ease. Every moment of hesitation is a battlefield, and the outcome depends on which voice you choose to obey. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about choosing progress over comfort, even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching. The truth is, most people lose the battle before the day even begins. They let their emotions make their decisions. They wait to feel ready, motivated, inspired. But emotions are unreliable. They change with the weather. The strongest people don't rely on emotion. They rely on commitment. They understand that every day will not feel good, but every day must count. They know that greatness is built in silence, in the unseen hours and the moments where giving up feels easier, but you don't. That's where transformation takes root. Inside the daily fight, you cannot build strength without resistance. You cannot build consistency without struggle. Every distraction that tempts you to quit is not an obstacle. It's a test. It's asking, how badly do you want this? Your future self is forged through these decisions. The next 90 days are not about doing extraordinary things once. They're about doing ordinary things with extraordinary consistency. Wake up, show up, repeat. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because every small victory compounds. Every act of discipline creates momentum, and momentum creates power. The human brain is wired for repetition. What you do daily becomes who you are permanently. Each time you push through resistance, you rewire your identity. You begin to see yourself differently. You start trusting yourself again. You start believing that when you say, I will, you mean it. And that belief is everything. That belief is the foundation of transformation. It's not about willpower. It's about self-respect. Because when you keep the promises you make to yourself, you stop breaking under pressure. You stop doubting. You become unstoppable. There will be days when your body screams to rest, when your mind tells you it's pointless, when progress feels invisible. But progress is not always visible. It's internal. It's mental muscle being built in silence. It's the quiet strengthening of your will, the sharpening of your focus, the deepening of your resilience. Every day you persist when nothing seems to change. You're growing roots. And when the roots are deep, the storms can't shake you. If you want the next 90 days to transform you, make every day a declaration. Wake up with the mindset that today matters, that every choice adds up, that the smallest action done with intention has more power than the biggest dream left undone. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. You don't need motivation. You need momentum. This is the daily war. And every time you win, even once, you build proof that you can. That proof becomes pride. That pride becomes power. And that power becomes peace. You don't get that peace by wishing for it. You earn it by doing what? Most people won't. So from this moment forward, treat every sunrise as a fresh battlefield and every victory, no matter how small, as evidence that you're rewriting your future one disciplined day at a time. Growth hurts because it's the sign that you're stretching beyond what you've known, reaching into the parts of yourself that have been sleeping for too long. The pain that comes with progress isn't punishment. It's proof that you're evolving. Most people run from it. They feel discomfort and think something is wrong. But the truth is, the presence of pain is the clearest signal that you're moving towards something real. Nothing strong is built without resistance. Nothing lasting is created without pressure. Pain is the sculptor of character, shaping you into the person your goals demand you to become. The pain of discipline will sting, but the pain of regret will destroy you. You can't escape pain. One simply comes now, and the other comes later. The difference is one leads to strength, and the other leads to shame. When you push through discomfort, you're not just surviving the moment. You're teaching your mind that you're stronger than your emotions. You're showing yourself that fear, exhaustion, and uncertainty don't define you. You do. And once you understand that, pain loses its power to control you. It becomes a signal, not a setback. It becomes a tool. Every breakthrough in life hides behind a wall of struggle. The ones who make it to the other side aren't the ones who had it easiest. They're the ones who refused to stop when it got hard. Every rep that burns, every failure that humbles you, every long night that tests your will, they're all building you. They're teaching you patience, resilience, and mental toughness. They're removing the weak layers, revealing a version of you that doesn't flinch when life gets heavy. That's what growth feels like. It's not clean, it's not comfortable, but it's real. And that's why it matters. The mind will always try to pull you back to comfort, to the familiar, to the predictable. But comfort is where your dreams go to die quietly. Growth demands that you step into the unknown again and again. It requires faith, the kind that doesn't need evidence, only conviction, the kind that says, I don't know how this ends, but I refuse to quit until I find out. That's the mindset of transformation. You start embracing pain as a necessary part of progress. You stop asking for the path to be easy and instead ask for the strength to walk it. When you can look at pain and say, this is helping me, everything changes. You stop resisting it and you start using it. You channel it. You let it refine you instead of define you. Every challenge, every failure, every setback becomes raw material for your comeback. You start seeing that every ounce of struggle has meaning, that every hard moment is a hidden blessing preparing you for what's next. You realize that pain doesn't break you, it reveals you. So in the next 90 days, bring resistance, and they will. Don't run, don't hide, don't interpret the discomfort as a sign to stop. It's the proof that you're alive, that you're pushing boundaries, that you're growing beyond who you were. The pain you feel today is shaping the strength you'll need tomorrow. Let it burn away your weakness. Let it purify your purpose. Let it remind you that growth was never meant to be painless. It was meant to be powerful, because the moment you learn to endure what others avoid, you become unstoppable. Inside every person lives a vision, an image of who they could become if they stopped holding back. You've seen glimpses of it in moments of clarity and flashes of passion, in those times when something inside you whispers, you're meant for more. That vision isn't fantasy. It's your potential trying to speak through the noise, but potential without vision is directionless, and vision without belief fades into wishful thinking. The mind needs something to aim at, something vivid enough to pull you through pain and resistance. You must see your future so clearly that it feels more real than your present. Clarity is power. The clearer you see what you want, the faster your mind begins to create the path toward it. The human brain is wired to find what it focuses on. When you visualize your goal with emotion and conviction, your subconscious starts filtering the world in alignment with it. You begin noticing opportunities that were always there but invisible before. You start meeting people, attracting situations, and feeling impulses that move you toward your vision. This isn't magic, it's psychology. The brain obeys direction, and whatever dominates your thoughts becomes your reality. You must learn to feed that vision daily. See it, feel it, speak it. The more you engage with it, the stronger it becomes. Every morning, remind yourself what you're building. Every night, picture it again before you close your eyes. That repetition builds faith, and faith builds momentum. Because when you truly believe in something, you start acting like it's already yours. Your energy changes, your tone changes, your habits shift to match the person you're becoming. You stop chasing validation and start embodying certainty. That's when your vision starts pulling you forward instead of you pushing endlessly toward it. But vision without emotion dies fast. You have to connect your goal to something deeper than desire, something that shakes your soul. Ask yourself why it matters. Why do you want this life? Why do you need this transformation? The mind moves when the heart is involved. Emotion turns vision into fire. When you attach your purpose to your pain, your dreams stop being optional. They become necessary. You start fighting for them like your future depends on it, because it does. There will be days when the vision feels distant, when doubt clouds your mind, when fear tries to convince you it's impossible. That's when you must close your eyes and see it again, feel it again, speak it louder than your fear. The moment you do, your energy realigns. Vision is not about what you see with your eyes, it's what you see with your mind when everything around you says no. The greats all had that kind of sight, the inner certainty that didn't need proof, only persistence. When you live with vision, distractions lose their grip. Temporary comfort stops seducing you because your mind is fixed on something eternal. You start carrying yourself like the future you're creating is already here. Every action becomes intentional, every sacrifice becomes meaningful, every step feels purposeful. You stop existing and start evolving. You stop reacting to life and begin designing it. That's what the next 90 days demand. A mind locked on vision, fueled by emotion, guided by belief. You don't need luck. You need clarity. You don't need approval. You need conviction. See the person you're becoming. Feel their strength, their peace, their power, and then live every day as if you are already them. Because once your vision becomes your identity, nothing can stop its reality. The greatest transformation begins when you stop waiting for permission to rise. Too many people delay their growth, hoping for a sign, a perfect moment, or someone's approval before they move. But no one is coming to crown you ready. No one is coming to validate your worth or confirm your timing. The truth is, the moment you decide to commit, fully, relentlessly, unapologetically, that's when your life begins to shift. The universe does not respond to hesitation, it responds to certainty. It moves. When you move, every day you hesitate, your power fades a little. Every time you doubt yourself, you hand a piece of your destiny to fear. You were not born to tiptoe through life waiting for comfort to meet you halfway. You were born to disrupt patterns, to rise from your own resistance, to prove to yourself that you are stronger than the stories that kept you small. The difference between those who change their lives and those who only dream about it is not talent, it's decision. The decision to no longer settle. The decision to no longer negotiate with weakness. The decision to live as if the vision already belongs to you. You cannot evolve while clinging to the identity that created your limitations. Growth demands shedding. You must be willing to outgrow your excuses, to let go of the version of you that's addicted to comfort and validation. The old you wants to protect your pain. The new you wants to turn it into purpose. The old you fears judgment. The new you seeks alignment. The moment you stop trying to please others and start honoring your own truth, you reclaim your power, because real strength isn't about control. It's about freedom. The freedom to be exactly who you are, without apology, without fear, without compromise. The mind will resist this shift. It will whisper that you're not ready, that it's too soon, too risky, too uncertain. That voice is not your intuition. It's your conditioning. It's the echo of every moment you dimmed your light to fit into someone else's comfort zone. But here's what you must remember. Growth is never comfortable. You can't expand and stay safe at the same time. The mind seeks familiarity. The soul seeks freedom. And if you want to evolve, you must choose the soul's call over the mind's fear. Every breakthrough begins with defiance, the defiance of limits, the refusal to repeat old patterns, the courage to demand more from yourself. This is where transformation becomes irreversible. When your will becomes stronger than your fear, when your purpose becomes louder than your doubt, when your vision becomes more real than your excuses, that's when you cross from hoping to knowing, from wishing to becoming. Nothing around you needs to change. First, the shift begins within you. The moment you change your inner conversation, your external reality starts to rearrange itself. The people, the opportunities, the energy, all of it begins aligning with your new frequency. You no longer attract chaos because you no longer operate in confusion. You no longer chase validation because you are rooted in clarity. Life starts mirroring the power you've owned within. This is your evolution. This is the version of you that no longer asks, how long will it take? But instead declares, as long as it takes, I will not stop. Because once you decide that your purpose is non-negotiable, your energy becomes unstoppable. The world bends to those who no longer back down. The universe favors the mind that refuses to retreat. When you stand in that energy, calm, certain, unshakable, everything that once felt impossible begins to move toward you, as if it was always meant to. Every day you wake up, you are standing on sacred ground, the edge between who you've been and who you could become. Most people never realize the power of that moment. They open their eyes and fall straight into old habits, old fears, old thoughts that quietly convince them. Today will be no different from yesterday. But what if you stopped treating each day like a repeat and started treating it like a rebirth? What if you woke up and decided that this is the moment your future self has been waiting for? That this is the day where everything begins to shift? Transformation doesn't come from waiting for the right conditions. It comes from creating them within yourself. You are the thermostat of your own life. You set the emotional temperature. You decide how you think, how you react, how you rise. Most people live like thermometers, constantly reacting to the environment, adjusting to the mood, the noise, the circumstances around them. But you are not meant to reflect energy. You are meant to generate it. The person who learns to command their state commands their future. When you decide to radiate focus, confidence, and purpose, the world starts to respond in kind. Energy doesn't lie. It echoes. There is no stronger force than a human being who has decided that their time is now. That decision changes everything because it removes the illusion of later. Later is the greatest thief of potential. Later keeps your dreams waiting in the shadows while your fears lead the way. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, you reinforce to your mind that your dreams are optional. But the truth is they are urgent, not because time is running out, but because you are. Every day you delay, a part of your greatness goes unused. Every moment you hesitate, Your calling waits a little longer for you to remember who you are. You do not need permission to live differently. You only need permission to start. Every great transformation begins with a single act of defiance, the decision to show up when it's easier not to choose growth over comfort, to speak truth where silence used to rule. When you choose that, you become unstoppable, because consistency destroys resistance. Every time you act in alignment with your purpose, you teach your mind that you are safe in strength, that you no longer need to hide behind fear, that the version of you that hesitated is gone, and as that version fades, something beautiful happens. Your energy changes. People begin to feel your presence differently. Opportunities start finding you because you're finally in motion. Life rewards movement. The universe honors momentum. It doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to aligned action. You'll start to notice that the things that once felt impossible now begin to unfold with surprising ease, not because they got easier, but because you grew stronger. This is what the next 90 days can do for you. They can rewrite your identity, rebuild your confidence, and restore your belief in what's possible. But only if you give everything you have, your focus, your discipline, your hunger. You cannot halfway your way into transformation. You either burn for it or you stay where you are. And the truth is, you've already waited long enough. The next 90 days are not about surviving. They're about becoming. Every second counts. Every action matters. Every day is a declaration of who you are becoming. And if you live with that fire, with that level of certainty, the next 90 days won't just change your results. They will change you forever. The reason most people never experience true transformation isn't because they lack potential. It's because they lack urgency. They keep waiting for confidence to arrive, not realizing that confidence is built through motion, not meditation. You don't wake up fearless. You become fearless by doing the very thing fear told you not to do. The greatest growth always hides behind discomfort, and the people who break through are the ones who stop negotiating with it. You have to stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I never try? That question will wake your soul up faster than any motivational quote ever could. The clock is ticking, and not because time is against you, but because purpose doesn't wait forever. You were given this life, this chance, this exact moment for a reason. There's a power inside you that's been dormant for too long, buried under excuses, distractions, and self-doubt. Every time you delay action, you dim that power a little more. But the moment you decide that you've had enough, that you will no longer live half alive, everything starts to shift. The energy that once went into procrastination begins fueling creation. The fear that once paralyzed you turns into fuel that propels you forward. You have to understand, discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. It's a declaration that your dreams deserve consistency. Most people chase motivation waiting to feel ready before they act, but motivation fades. Discipline sustains. Discipline is the bridge between intention and reality. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. And once you build that kind of trust with yourself, you become unstoppable. The mind stops doubting what the body repeatedly proves. You stop saying, I can't, because you've already shown yourself that you can. When you treat the next 90 days like all you have, you stop entertaining distractions that don't serve your destiny. You stop giving energy to people who drain you. You stop chasing validation that adds nothing to your purpose. You start thinking in terms of alignment, asking yourself with every action, does this bring me closer to who I'm becoming? When you live from that question, clarity replaces confusion. Focus replaces chaos. Power replaces fear. You no longer move randomly. You move intentionally. And that's when life starts moving with you. There's something sacred about giving your all. When you pour your full energy into a goal, something awakens within you that no comfort zone can replicate. You begin to feel alive again. The days may get hard, but they also become meaningful because you know every ounce of effort is shaping the person you're destined to be. There's beauty in the struggle when you understand that pressure creates diamonds and resistance builds strength. The version of you that will emerge 90 days from now will not be the same one who started. It'll be someone sharper, stronger, clearer, and more aligned with their true purpose. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for everything to make sense. Start now. Start with what you have. Start before you're ready, because readiness doesn't come from knowing. It comes from doing. Every step forward is a message to the universe that you're serious about your evolution. And when you show that level of commitment, life starts opening doors you didn't even know existed. The next 90 days could become the turning point of your entire existence, but only if you decide to live them like they're the last you'll ever get. When you decide that the next 90 days are all you have, hesitation loses its voice, fear stops sounding convincing. You start to see time differently, not as something to waste, but as something to shape. Every morning becomes an opportunity to prove your potential. Every action becomes a vote for the person you want to become. You stop chasing comfort and start chasing growth, because deep down you already know that comfort is the slowest form of death. It keeps you breathing, but it kills your fire, and fire is what you need right now. Not for destruction, but for transformation. This kind of transformation doesn't happen through luck or waiting. It happens through conscious design. It happens when you decide to take full accountability for everything in your life. The wins, the losses, the habits, the excuses. Accountability isn't blame, it's freedom. The moment you take ownership, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your destiny. You stop saying this happened to me and start saying this happened for me. That shift in language changes everything, because the same energy that's been trapped in resentment or regret can now be redirected toward progress and creation. The truth is, the next 90 days will test you. They will challenge your discipline, your patience, and your faith. You will want to quit. You will hear the voice of doubt whispering that it's too much, too hard, too far. But remember this, the mind always breaks before the body does. It's not your strength that gives out first, it's your belief. When that moment comes, when the resistance feels unbearable, remind yourself that pain is not punishment, it's preparation. It's shaping you into someone capable of holding the success you're chasing. Growth hurts because you're expanding beyond everything you've known. This is where most people turn back. They interpret the discomfort as a sign to stop, when in reality it's a sign they're finally evolving. You cannot become unrecognizable while holding on to what's familiar. You have to be willing to burn your old limitations to the ground and build new ones from the ashes. You have to become obsessed with who you could be if you simply refuse to give up. Because once you pass that breaking point, something magical happens. You realize you were never fragile, you were never weak, you were simply untested. Those who treat their time like it's infinite never discover their true potential, but those who act like every second matters start to live with urgency, clarity, and purpose. They move differently, they think differently, they attract differently, because the energy of urgency sharpens your focus and eliminates everything unnecessary. When you live like time is limited, you stop performing for approval and start performing for legacy. You stop wasting effort proving yourself and start using that effort to build yourself. You are not meant to live half awake, waiting for permission to shine. You are meant to live fully alive, driven by a mission that refuses to wait. The next 90 days are your battlefield, a sacred test of who you really are beneath all your doubts, fears, and excuses. So rise with purpose, move with conviction. And remember, this isn't just about achieving goals. It's about awakening the version of you that was born to lead, to create, to rise beyond limits. Because once you find that version within, you'll never settle for ordinary again.